Hey, good morning, Brenton. This is Matt Kuhlhorn. This is for you and the committee. As I shared with you yesterday, I only want to do this. I moved to do this internally. I don't have any ulterior motives. I don't have another marketing business or anything else ancillary. I have Cooler Garage Doors. I've been owner for 7 years. I started this thing without a dime, literally, and it was a handshake deal, and I really started as a house painter, and it's evolved over the years. I go back to the mid-2000s. I was an installer for a company here in town and really got to see the business from the inside, from the ground up. And having an opportunity to give back to this industry is really a big motivator of mine. I'm here in my really small, kind of dirty training facility that is in the works. And we currently have a team of 8 for Cooler Garage Doors. We're out in rural Colorado, the Gunnison, Crescent Butte area. And we're really putting the foundation together for a bit of an expansion. So this year has been a lot of investment, which has been really fun, and a little bit of a gut check, kind of. Nonetheless, this desire of presentation is really around this idea that I'm calling honor. And I love acronyms. My staff knows this. Honor is an acronym, and it's hone, it's own, it's know, it's observe, it's reflect. Really what this can do is be used for introduction. If I was to be introducing a speaker, I could use this to bring cohesion amongst the crowd and really anchor presence so that that presenter has even more success in transmitting their message. If it's a standalone type of presentation, I would really dial in and break down the different words in there, and it's really bringing a mindset. Now, we know that there's a lot of weirdness in the environment, supply chain, our customer base, there's transition within the industry itself, there's a lot of transition within the world, and there are people that are winning, there are people that are really challenged, and mindset's going to be what's needed, I believe, going over the next 5-10 years. I don't think it's going to get any better. I actually think it's going to get worse. If you look at some of the historians of Neil Howe's research and writings, or Ray Dalio, both two guys that I've studied a bit of, there are some short-term cycles and long-term cycles at play, and some of these cycles are starting to come together right now. The long-term cycles we do not see in a lifetime. So one of my business mentors, Keith Cunningham, told me in August that he's never seen an environment like this before in his 50+ years in business. And that makes sense. You know, we're dealing with staffing, we're dealing with inflation, we're dealing with rising costs and supply chains, and it's going to take a certain headspace to be able to go through and navigate this as a business owner, as somebody that's a part of a business, as the industry. I think we're seeing a fairly significant shift in the industry from maybe an install to a service model, and I'm trying to wrap my head around that still. Nonetheless, I only want to do this if it's a win-win-win. If there is a place in the schedule and you guys feel like there could be value to bringing some of this mindset set component. To dive a little bit deeper, H represents hone, and this is honing our craft, honing our skill, honing our bodies, honing our mentalities. I know that in my interaction with different garage door groups and networking, mental health is a critical component for technicians, for installers, for owners, and we all have mental health. I have my background's in experiential education and a lot of drug prevention, and that runs right into suicide prevention, mental health. And my take is we all have mental health, and we don't necessarily always talk about it like we might our financial health or our gut health or our physical health, but our mental health is right there. We all have it. How's yours doing today? How's mine doing today? I'm doing good, blah, blah, blah. The point I'm trying to make is that in this industry, I do think that there is a lot of anxiety, and I do think it's going to get worse. And honing is about addressing some of that and pulling together groups that can support us through weirdness. That's my best way of saying it. O is own. And what I mean by that is we own, if we're owners of a business, we own that business. But even on another level, like we own our results to life. We own what we bring to the table. We own how we feel. Own. N is no. Now this is about setting boundaries and appropriate boundaries. No, I don't want to take on that client. No, I don't want to ingest that sugar, alcohol, cannabis, whatever it might be, right? This drives back to some mental health piece in this idea of mindset. No is setting appropriate boundaries. As an owner, this might be knowing when to say no to a job, to a client, to an employee. And it's a really critical skill to have. O is observe, and this is about observing patterns and trends, seeing the disruption going on in this industry, in the world, macro level, watching patterns of short-term debts and patterns of long-term debts, seeing a pattern that relates to history. It's critical. This could also be patterns in our business, just seeing seasonality. I could go on and on just on observation, but as somebody that wants to play and wants to win going forth, we're going to have to observe how the customer ideals change. There's going to be a lot of shifts at play over the next handful of years, and observation is going to be a key skill. R, the final letter, is reflect, and this is about really taking pause in the day to see how far we've come, to see where we might want to go, to extract the learnings from the experiences that we have in our day-to-day, reflecting on projects that went well, reflecting on projects that went bad, reflecting, and just having presence with that. So when I'm doing this with a group, there is a little bit of a mindfulness component. I would likely ask everybody at the very beginning to sit at the edge of their chair and take a deep breath together and find some collective presence among a crowd of hundreds or thousands. And being able to get to that level at the very beginning starts this cohesiveness, this bringing together from all walks of life across the country, men, women, old, young, business owners, technicians, administrators. It's a whole mix. And bringing everybody together into this one moment in time starts that process with that breath. We might do 2 or 3, depending on how that room feels. And then we dive into the content, and I can go deep and go into each rabbit hole as applicable. The R, when we have reflection, I may very well ask everybody to stand up, put their hand on their heart. Again, take another breath. Have a little bit of a guided meditation, if you will, just briefly to really dive into the R. How far have we come? Remember where we were last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Step by step, baby. And at this point, I would probably bring in some kind of rhythmic move and get everybody just to beat kind of the same heart. And from here, we could tie it up, a final breath, a thank you. From here, we could go into an introduction. If I was introducing a keynote speaker or somebody, I could get everybody to really ramp that energy back up. And so I play around with group energies, and I love it. I've been geeking out on this for decades. So if you Google Matthew Kuehlhorn, you might see some past videos, but I've done a lot of parent and student presentations. I've done other kind of marketing style presentations out there, just promoting my own company. And I love it. I'm fascinated by it. And I love the dynamic of energies. And so my ability to be able to bring a group together play around with energies of raising them up, lowering them down, and raising them up to a high peak can really add some benefit, and depending on the scheduling. So I'm just putting myself out there. I'd love to serve. I'd love to give back to this industry. If I can help out, please let me know when and where. I do have one tentative obligation on the Wednesday. That would be running from roughly 9 to about 3. If there is a time and a window where you saw value in me bringing this style of presentation in, and that happens to land on Wednesday, I would likely prioritize the presentation, and I would give up my other obligations. So let me know that. I just wanted to put that out there. If it falls on Tuesday or Thursday, or very early Wednesday, or very late in the afternoon on Wednesday, that's totally ideal, but you guys let me know. And I appreciate you watching this video, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Thank you so much.